Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game.
Like bocce. I've seen it before.
Oh, I haven't played bocce.
Curling?
Bowling.
Me neither. Well, many
Ping
years.
pong.
Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I'm Ari.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. For the first time in season 14, we are filming in person.
Yeah.
Hooray!
It's great to have you back for a 14th season, Charlie.
It's a pleasure to be back.
And the cap is stuck.
Really
Let's
is.
talk about it.
Ari
Really
was on a Zoom discussion, but this is his first in person.
Got
And
it.
so with Larry also did some Zoom discussions, but
Zoom corrupted my computer.
In person, that's the way we like things, right?
it's the best
Guys?
way to
Yeah.
do things. We are going to be discussing a collection of comic strips that Ari suggested. This is Foxtrot, 8 Yards Down and Out by Bill Amond. And this is the 4th collection of comic strips, which collects the comic strips from August of 1990 until mid-1991. You have a discussion starter?
It's not really a discussion starter. It's more just I had some facts I wanted to start with, and then you guys can kind of bounce off it.
I bounced off the walls.
I know that.
Yeah, you put your head on it,
Foxtrot.
too.
Not on purpose.
Foxtrot is absolutely. It's got to be my favorite comic strip for sure. You know, whether we're talking about the '90s comics, which I think were a little bit more, as you said over the phone with me, a little more realistic, but then the newer ones, which also, they kind of go with the times, different, you know, we start seeing iPhones and all other types of TikTok and stuff pop up in the most recent Sunday. I know at one point
It's more so unrealistic things that can't really happen in real life.
but it's real enough that it feels like, I can connect with these characters. So
I set water on fire before.
for those of you who don't know about the comic, it's about a family of 5. Andy, who is the mother, and she's a writer, and she's like your typical 40-year-old mother. And then you've got Roger, who is a sports fan. He's your typical, 40-year-old father with back problems and weight issues and
You're going to get us in trouble.
He loves
all
his
kinds
sports
of
and he
stuff.
loves his chess.
Yes, well, he thinks he's good at chess, but he's not. And then you've got Jason, who actually, Bill has said that bases Jason mostly off. That's the character he really identifies with the most. Jason is a 10-year-old nerd spectacular, so to speak.
He's 10?
He is 10.
Did I know this?
Paige is his 14-year-old sister, who's all with popular stuff and absolutely hates. Paige and Jason basically hate each other. And then you've got Peter, the 16-year-old, who always is a little bit of the outcast of the family, but he also likes sports, just like his father, but he's much more into it, and he's younger, so he's able to do the younger things, and he drives, or he tries to drive. So you've got this whole family dynamic going on.
Tries to drive.
Tries to drive, yes. He actually got in an accident in one of the strips, not in this collection, but and then there's some side characters too. But overall, really good comic. Right now, it's only doing Sundays. Back when these were made, it was Sundays and weekdays.
It started in 1988,
Really?
and for the first 18 years, it was every day. It was 7 days a week. But then in 2006, they reduced it to Sundays only.
So there are a lot of really funny strips that you can find. If you could just give me the book so I can show the cover. This is the cover from the original version. It looks like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hope you can. You can also find the individual comics on. Well, I'll get into that later.
The other thing to make note of with the Foxtrot series, the Foxtrot comic strip, is like plenty of others, it bases off a continuing story.
Yes.
Except the characters don't age. That's the only thing that doesn't change.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
they're
kind of like the
Well, yeah.
Simpsons.
Oh, imagine
Yes.
being
They don't-
imagine being a
but
40-year-old father back
Usually from Monday to Saturday, they're all connected with one another. Sometimes they're not connected, but
They're storylines.
yeah, there are storylines, and then Sundays usually stands on its own. But that's most comics,
Oh, yeah.
where the Sunday comic will stand on its own because it's a very great spectacular.
So, one of the very first storylines in this version, these collections, is that Paige and her friend Nicole are just starting off high school again, and they're like, oh, we both have current affairs, but they think it's about the TV show Current Affairs, not about actual current affairs. So they go in the class.
Bill
and,
O'Reilly.
exactly.
That's early.
So, yeah, this is 1990.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
they're like, okay, now we're talking about current affairs. Please point out where Iraq is on the map. And, does anyone know what's going on over there? And so Nicole, who's Paige's friend, comes up and is like, it's here, no, it's here, no, it's here, no, it's here, no.
Yeah,
no, no,
typical
no.
American. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how can someone else correctly point to Iraq on the map? Paige comes up and says, points right to where it is. It's like, it's in here somewhere. Bravo! And Nicole's like, how do you know that? It's like, it's the only place you didn't try.
Yeah.
How I could tell before reading it, before finding out that this was from 1990, was because Roger made mention of the fact that he was talking about getting ready for the football season, and he was wondering, will the 49ers get a three-peat? The only back-to-back Super Bowls that they won were 1988 and 1989.
Mm-hmm.
They did not win the 1990 Super Bowl. That was the New York Giants.
That's right. And that was an epic national championship game between the Niners and the Giants, right, where they were just going after each other's quarterbacks. Montana actually got hurt in that game. They had to take them out.
Phil Simms had been out. He went out week 15.
That was when Jeff Hostetler was quarterback.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jeff Hostetler was the.
It was a great season.
Yeah, it was.
Wide right!
The best one was 1986, though, but 1990.
Oh, 86 was wide right then.
No.
1986 was the best season that the Giants had in the Super Bowl era.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm the only one. Who
Oh, that was because Scott
Norwood,
Norwood
yeah.
kicked the field goal wide right.
I'm the only one who does nothing about sports because I am very not. I'm just into music, and I can't even ride a skateboard.
But I have a question for everyone.
And 4 years of marching band did it to me.
So, I guess we'll start with you, Josh, and then we'll head in this direction.
One Direction.
I said this direction.
I-
I specifically said that so you wouldn't say that. If you were to pick a favorite character, what would it be? Of the 5 main family
Out of the
members.
5 main family, I would say Jason.
Mhm.
Because
my
Jason,
character.
I think he's the one that Bill put the most effort into.
he's an oddball, but at the same time, he's likable and not in the way that he doesn't really stray off on anything. That the other ones, they have their petty things. Even Roger. But
Jason just stays like what he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
No matter, he doesn't care what other people think about it.
Yeah.
He's just like
and
does whatever the hell
I mean,
he wants
they've
to do.
been they are consistent based off of how they were designed, and I appreciate that.
What
So,
about you, Charles?
I was gonna say Jason, but
you can still say Jason?
I can still say Jason. Well, I'm
I'm going to say Jason.
I was gonna say
We all love you, Jason.
for me it's both Jason and Peter are my favorite.
I'm gonna
characters.
go. I'm now gonna go off the beaten path here. Say Paige because
Oh, I hate Paige.
well, no, she's
She
just.
reminds you of your sister?
Paige is always abusing her little
Wow.
brother.
I don't. Well, I don't know why she does that. That's the one thing I don't like. You don't abuse your younger siblings.
He instigates her.
He totally instigates her.
but it
I
doesn't.
have to say though, if I had to go with all characters, my favorite character is Quincy,
Mm.
the iguana.
Yeah.
I just love Quincy. I even have a sticker of Quincy on my guitar.
Mm.
I bought it from the Foxtrot store.
I like Denise though too.
This Denise is
She's-
good too. I like Denise.
She's I like
with the Tabasco filled chocolate rabbit,
Mm.
and then Peter's like complaining to his family. Is like, how could you guys? Do you know what she just did to me? And they're all just laughing at him with their eyes watering.
Then you have studying for the test. If I get the answer right, you got to kiss me. Or if you get the her parents will pay him to do so.
It's just interesting.
So-
I really think it's interesting that they have Denise be blind. I think that's a very interesting dynamic put in by him.
Also, it brings in the
Diversity.
diversity. I can talk. I
Yeah, because
promise.
you can see Marcus is also black,
Mhm.
so it does definitely. Bring
It brings in
us-
that wholeness, that togetherness. If you want to bring it, that's how I see it. You
Mhm.
know.
But this particular collection I wanted to choose because I just thought this is like the prime of the series. Like this is when the series was at its best,
Mhm.
right around here, and then I think it goes into more the Return of the Lone Iguana and Take Us to Your Mall. I think once you hit like
Take
90.
us to your mall.
Yeah, there's a collection called Take Us to Your Mall where you see a UFO land and Jason's like, oh my god, aliens, and 2 Page aliens come out and say take us to your mall.
But you have also the first year or so. It was a different. They looked different.
Yeah, the art kind of, it's kind of like the same thing with Garfield. The art kind of moved on.
Most of it.
But
is
if
that
you
way.
once you get to like 95-ish, jokes kind of start to repeat a little bit. So when you get to like I'm flying Jack, I mean Roger, like which is later in like or think I Fruity, which is supposed to be like they get a new computer that's made out of an actual apple.
I don't like apples.
But like it's just at that point the jokes kind of start to run a little bit until about 2005. I think they started doing only Sundays.
2006.
They only started doing Sundays, and I think that worked out
Gave
better.
him a boost.
Gave them a boost, yeah, because then it wasn't the same joke. You could come up with something new every
Yeah.
week. Didn't
My,
always have
but my favorite strip from Foxtrot was when
in this collection or in general.
in general, was when Jason did that. You know, in Family Circus where they have the little dot.
Oh yeah, you told me about this the
Yeah,
other day.
and
Yeah.
Jason was using a
If the
wheel.
Family Circus kids are gonna jump off the cliff, are you going to do it too?
That was the best one.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
breaking the
only a
fourth wall.
single panel. That wasn't even like a regular 3-panel. That was just a 1-panel graphic gag. That's all that was.
Funny.
There could have been evidence though that he was actually doing it though too.
No, he was. He did have the wheel thing. With
That
the,
one, the encounter with him and his mother, that was one panel, and it made up most of it. But you had that evidence where he did the same thing that they do in Family Circus.
And then one of my favorite Foxtrots is Jason and Peter are just having a regular conversation. I told you about this one too.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly, like, the entire comic strip goes white. Like, there's no drawings except for bubbles. It's like, oh no, there's been an ink outage. And then suddenly you see Peter's hat and Jason's glasses and hair pop on the screen. And it's like, oh look, the emergency reserves have kicked in. And Peter's like, hey, you got more lines than me. And then they're like saying, oh, I talked to Beetle Bailey. The outage is across the whole board. Oh, I talked to John Arbuckle. There's a problem with the white power outage or something. And like the entire week is just the two, just Peter's hat and Jason's eyeballs just talking about this ink outage. And then at the very end, it goes back to what was originally going on, where it's like, oh, give me my money with the stick gun, you know? It's just absolutely funny. Foxtrot, absolutely. I think it's just my favorite because I think 5 characters is exactly what you need for a comic strip. I think it's the right amount. Garfield's good, but with 3 characters, it kind of got a little old. So then you had to add like Liz and a couple other characters, and by then I think it was already near it's kind of died.
They did have Lyman, but they phased him out.
I always think with comedy, the closer you are to 4 or 5, the better. Like, I mean, the Marx Brothers were 4.
Yeah, it was 4, and then they became 3.
3 works too, like the Three Stooges, but I think you have to have, like, people...
You have a supporting cast,
you have
too,
to-
though,
yeah,
though,
you have
because
to-
you have people like Abbott and Costello. and
But if
all
you
of
notice,
those.
like, most of the Foxtrot comics don't have all 5 characters in it at once. Some of them
You
do.
generally don't. Yeah, most of
Yeah, it's almost like a sitcom kind of.
Sitcom,
It's
exactly.
like a sitcom,
It's a comic
comic
sitcom.
strip.
And that kind of
It's a sitcomic.
Yeah.
yes, it is technically.
But yeah, were there any other strips that stuck out to you in this collection?
Well, I already came up with a couple. I don't know what you guys think.
I like the one with where Jason asks Paige if she wants to see anything disgusting, and he holds up a mirror, and then she shoves the mirror down. Kind of reminds me of a Sesame Street sketch with Harvey Kneeslapper asking the Anything Muppet, "Do you want to see something funny?" And
I don't see anything funny. Oh, now I see something funny. And he puts down the mirror. I do remember there was another one there about how Peter is like, it's a Sunday strip where Peter thinks he knows everything. So he's like, Peter, whoa, I'm Peter. And he's like, has a baseball bat. And he's like, Peter knows baseball. Peter knows a basketball. Peter knows nunchucks. Peter knows how to fly. And then suddenly you see him sleeping in class, and the teacher comes up to him. He's like, "But does Peter know physics?" And then Peter's sleeping, and he's like, "Peter knows Cindy Crawford," which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, definitely Foxtrot. If I know, probably a lot of you have read the Sunday versions that have been coming out for about. Was it now 10, 15 years now?
it's only been Sundays for 15 years.
15 years, yeah.
Let him run.
Definitely the 18 years before that, definitely worth looking at. Also, if you're interested in Bill Amen's stuff, does pop up at local Comic-Cons. I did get to see him at a Comic-Con. And
We met him in person.
yes, I have met him.
Where's he from?
Actually, don't know.
Okay.
But
He's from the Funny
but
Papers.
he does have a website where you can like I said, you get the Quincy sticker.
Yes.
Or he has a Dungeons and Dragons die that literally has all 20s on it. He calls it like Jason's Super Die or something. I don't remember. He actually went out of stock recently. I saw on Facebook, so we had to add more. But if I were to compare him to Bill Amen to one person in the world, it would probably be me. Like he's like a carbon older copy of me when it comes to like humor. He almost feels like I'm looking in a mirror and not putting the mirror.
Yeah,
on.
no,
And if you just look around in your local Comic-Con, whatever's going on, you might find him.
this is just my own observation. He sort of resembles Jeff Dunham in a way.
And a lot of people say I resemble Jeff. Not my face, but like
No,
my
but
actions.
I mean, when I saw Bill him on his Facebook. For a fleeting moment, I said, "Wait a minute, that looks like Jeff Dunham."
Oh, you liked him on Facebook? Yeah, so I like Bill Heyman on Facebook. He's got a great Facebook.
Very good content. I'm thinking, just my own observation. I could be wrong. That's why I was never used for a police lineup. It was number 5 when it really was number 2. But like I said, that's just something I thought.
This last comic also,
very good.
It was the Sunday in the Sunday edition where he was taping over.
Come on, Roger, wiggle. Come on, Chuck, wiggle.
Okay, but not on camera.
And the way that he, I wonder if that's going to be in the intro for season 14.
Only if he does it.
Don't instigate him, Ari.
No, I will.
The way that he has.
He's doing it. He's doing no. Where's he going? Where's he going? No! He got the fireman's hat back.
The way that he had Richard Simmons coming out of the TV, that was just hysterical. That was when Richard Simmons was really at the height of his prime, the late 80s, early 90s. That was sweating to the oldies.
In my personal opinion, Foxtrot's my favorite comic. Always has been. I mean, I know we went over Garfield before. Like a comic that kind of started everything. Yeah. I mean, there were comics before that.
I think that I prefer Foxtrot over Garfield because I think Foxtrot...
There's more things you can do with Foxtrot.
Yeah, plus cats don't really,
You're right.
So those are thought bubbles.
I want to end with. Well, if we are ending, I want to end with one more strip that I thought. It wasn't in this collection, but speaking of what Larry just said. So here's what it is. Jason has to do a project for school.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Jason has to do a project for school, and he does the Slugman comic book, which pops up a couple times, but he's just like his titular character. Slugman comic book, right? The night before he's supposed to send it in, Quincy eats it in shreds. He just eats the whole thing, like, dog ate my homework, whatever. Yeah. He goes to school next day and actually says, "My iguana ate my homework," which is actually what happened. Right. But of course, the teacher's not gonna believe it. Gives him an F. He comes home, he's all upset, and there's just this one 3-panel clip where you see Quincy is literally like looking at Jason because he sees Jason's head is down the desk. He licks Jason's ear, and then Jason like brings him closer, like as a close moment. And the final moment is his mom comes in and basically explains, it's okay, don't worry about it. Just remember that cartoons are not real. There will always be opportunities to do more things. And Jason's like, no, I worked so hard on that. It's not true. And then Quincy actually says, listen to your mother, Jason. Oh my God. It's the only time Quincy actually speaks.
It's kind of like a meta thing there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sort of classic.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, Quincy eats the big one was when he ate his dad's tax worm.
And that was in this collection. And then he also ate tickets. Quincy also ate tickets to the inaugural ball that they got.
He eats a lot of paper, right?
Yeah, but it's so the fact that they're in a comic strip is part of the jokes, right?
It's like breaking the fourth
wall. They're
wall.
aware of it. Yeah.
I mean, if you're bringing in other characters and other writers, and like Garfield and Family Circus, that's if that's not breaking the fourth wall.
And I also mentioned they put in Beetle Bailey earlier too.
If that's not breaking the fourth wall, I don't know what is.
There's actually sometimes I think where Eamon, I don't know if he got help from other people, but he would change the art style to match a different comic. Like I think he made fun of Ziggy one time, where everyone had like be short and have big noses.
He had been doing that the entire because.
And I know Snoopy popped up in a couple strips as well.
At the very beginning, Paige made a Garfield reference.
Oh, well, you know what? I just remembered one. There's one where Jason made a lemonade stand, and it said "Lemonade $15 million" or something, and then Lucy, you saw this one?
Yes.
Lucy from Peanuts is next to him with another stand that says psychiatric help 5 cents, and she says, "You got a nickel?" If you have not read Foxtrot yet, definitely check it out. Weekends, Sundays, doesn't matter.
Already. How would we rate it? 0 to 5 stars? Half stars permitted? Larry?
I go 3 stars, right down the middle. I like it. I need to be more familiar with it to have too much of an opinion either way, though. Right. But from what I've heard so far.
All right.
Well, rating it, I gotta give it a 5. I mean, I love it. I love any Foxtrot. It doesn't really matter what. It doesn't matter what collection.
Giving it a 5.
I'm gonna go 4 because I think it's
That's
good.
That's what you yell when you play golf.
I think it was
4.
Solid storyline, solid characters. I think that I would need a greater...
Kind of like what Larry said.
I would need a greater understanding. There were very creative moments, but nothing that really made me laugh out loud hysterically.
Except the Family Circus one.
That one was really
if I can say
But
something,
that was in the 2000s.
Right, that was
Yeah.
late. That was when they switched the book size from being squares to rectangles. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're interested in getting any of the Foxtrot collections, this one might be a little harder to find because it's
I
an
think you
older
can get it
one.
on Amazon.
You
I
can
think
check
You
this
can
out.
get them on
Goodreads.
Amazon, but there are newer ones. Some of the smaller ones, the ones from like the 2000s, are available at Barnes & Noble.
This was printed in 1992.
So the ones that are later on, you can
Mhm.
probably find at Barnes & Noble. This one's a little bit older. You might be able to find like Think I Fruity, Death by Field Trip. You might be able to find Encyclopedias Brown and White. Orlando Bloom Has Ruined Everything. You know, you can find those ones in your local Barnes & Nobles.
I'll
I
have to
just
check that out.
I just want to add one final note. It takes.
That a good note?
Yes, it is. It takes guts to write every week into a newspaper, especially you're putting yourself out, so you got to be funny, good, and you got to be consistent. So that's why Foxtrot delivers. That's what I wanted to say earlier.
Alrighty.
Bill.
Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Keep reading.
Hi everybody, it's Ari from Literary Gladiators. Thanks for watching our episode today, and next week we're going to be going back to Agatha Christie once again. We're going to be going to the later portion of Christie's time in writing, and we're going to be going over The Clocks. Make sure that if you haven't yet to support our Patreon, and remember to keep reading, and we'll see you next week.